Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life Well Planned, featuring the 80-20-365 Success System with Adam Vincent Gilmer. I'm your host, Gene Valaitis. Now, I've known Adam for years and years and years and all the success that he has in life. Adam has been an inspiration to people like me and to people in his business and has been a mentor to people right around the world. And he has taught his incredible 80-20-365 success system in more than 100 countries around the world. I wanted him to share this incredible system with you. So here's all you have to do. You can download the podcast at Spotify or Apple iTunes every single week, and eventually you'll be able to binge listen to this, or go to Adam's website and you can watch the video of we two handsome guys every single week, and you'll be able to follow along the 80-20-365 system. Now, if you want to get the most out of the free videos and the free podcast, yes, imagine that, something absolutely free in 2020. What I suggest you do is go to Adam's website, which is www.80-20-365.com, and purchase the Daily Planner. Now, you're likely saying, so what's the Daily Planner? Well, trust me, we'll be getting to the Daily Planner. Today's very first video and podcast on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify is simply to introduce you to the man who I've known for years and years and years. That's Adam Vincent Gilmer. But go and get your Daily Planner. You're going to need this. I have mine. I've been using it for years, and I use it every single day, and that's why we're here. First of all, though, let's meet the man behind 80-20-365. He's Adam Vincent Gilmer, and he's on the podcast with us here. And if you're on the website, he's on here on video. Adam, here we go. Episode number 1. Welcome to Life Well Planned.
Awesome. Thank you, Gene. And Happy New Year. Happy 2020 to everybody out there. Gene, great introduction. I mean, maybe I should take you on the road with me as we do this around the world.
Well, listen, I follow you on Facebook, and I know that you're traveling all over the world. In fact, if you're watching this first video or listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple iTunes, Adam's off to Moscow tomorrow to work on his business. So he's truly a world traveler. Now, I want you, if you're unfamiliar with Adam, to get to know him a little bit in this first episode. Then in episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and as we progress and as the year goes on, we're going to be telling you all about the system. And again, go to the website and get your Daily Planner. I know you don't know what it is yet, but you'll want to have one, and it's something that you will carry around with you for the rest of your life. Now, Adam, and a lot of people are going to find this a little hard to believe, but I'm going to let you explain this. Adam is, in fact, actually African American. I think you better explain that one.
Yeah, well, we emigrated to the United States back in the late 1980s, and I was born in South Africa. Both my parents are Irish, actually. So I'm Irish African American, which is an incredible combination, and it makes for good comedy and opening up in my monologue. But, emigrating to the United States, the whole family left because of the apartheid, what was happening in South Africa, and we emigrated here. And we really came over here, Eugene, to really have the American dream. That's the main purpose. My father wanted to have a better future for all of his sons. I have 3 brothers, and that's why we came over here to the States. Hence the African American joke. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, but it really, really does work. Now, as we get to know Adam, you're going to find out a lot about him. So again, this episode is our introduction episode, and if you go to Adam's site, which is 80-20-365, you'll be able to follow along. But if you're on the podcast or video, let's get to know Adam. Adam has broken down his life in a very deliberate way. And today we're just going to go through the various things that Adam has done. Adam is an entrepreneur, a publisher, a speaker, an investor, an advisor, a humanitarian, a mentor, and a family man. So you know what? I know what's really, really important in Adam's life. Because I was around for the birth of his first son, and I've been following his daughter, and I know his wife very well. So instead of starting with business and philosophy, people will be able to see this on the website. But what I want to start with right out of the gate here is what I know is really important for you. Tell us a little bit about you, Adam Vincent Gilmer, family man.
Well, I met Jessica almost 10 years ago now, and we have 2 fabulous children. AJ Gilmer, who's 8.5, almost 9. And we just had our little princess, Alexa, Jade Gilmer. And the great thing about her, she's just stolen my heart. I was just with her this morning, actually. She turns on my espresso maker every single morning when I have her in my hands. She likes to turn on the buttons. But, it really comes down to the reason why people want to do better in their lives is they really want to do better for themselves and their family, right? And usually when that is taken care of, then you can start to think about, well, how do I take care of, everything else, other people? You can be more philanthropic, and you can be the person that you really intended to be. So that's my family life. Usually we travel around the world together. It was in the early stages of our business together with Jessica. We would travel to many countries. In fact, Jessica and AJ are on their third passport. Alexa's on her first. They've been to probably 62, 63 countries. I've taken them with me as we built the business around the world and show people how to plan and organize their time, their lives, and business, and the 6 different pillars that we'll be going through. But the beautiful thing is that, I was talking to AJ's counselor at school the other day, and he's in a private school. And he's like, she was asking questions. He goes, has he really been to the Burj Khalifa? Did you really eat in the Eiffel Tower? All these other places. Have you really ridden on a camel? Did you really do all these other great things? Have you really walked the Great Wall of China? And the answer is absolutely yes. So, I think doing things and building things with family is very, very rewarding. And I continue to do it. And we're having no more kids, though. We've decided that that's it. 2 is great. We've helped populate the planet, but it's a real blessing, Gene.
Yeah, and I love the philosophy that Adam always has. It's always front of the plane, back of the car. And one of the things that I always admired about the early travels with your son was there would be your son, and I'd see the picture on Facebook, and he would be about 3 years old, and he's leaning back in his beautiful first class seat on a 777 going off on another adventure with mom and dad. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, how do you do that? And that has to do with balance, and that has to do with the wheel of life. Put the brakes on that. Don't worry. As we go through the 80-23 wheel of life, and you're also going to learn exactly what balance in your life is all about. But we want to run through the other areas of your life as people explore the website and they get to know you. So we've taken care of the family, the most important thing in everybody's life, or it should be. So let's just go through the other areas of your life and what you've done. And let's start out with entrepreneurship, which in fact really makes everything else possible in your life, because you're not stuck in a job just over broke.
No. When we emigrated here to the States and we wanted the American dream, it was just obvious that the people that were making things happen in their lives are people who either own their own businesses, they were following their passion, or they had something that was really important to them, and they made some type of they took some type of a risk being an entrepreneur and actually making that turn into a business. So they took their hobbies, what they love to do, and actually made them happen in their lives. And I remember I've done all kinds of things. I've done flooring, roofing, framing. I've laid carpet. I've done everything to try make a living for those first couple of years here in the United States. And I actually did stand-up comedy too, and I failed at it terribly. My jokes were terrible. But I did meet somebody that night, and we talked. And back then we had beepers, Gene. Right. And I was invited to come and take a look at a presentation, and I went and saw a presentation. I wasn't even sure I could do it because I was just an immigrant to the States. But I found out that yes, I had my Social Security number. I could get started, and I got started my first home-based business. And I got bitten by this bug, and it changed my life. And ever since then, I've always, anybody who's an entrepreneur, who's taking risks, building a surfboard company, maybe they're wanting to be an attorney, a doctor, or maybe they're in the direct sales industry or network marketing space, or they're a realtor, might be a rep for a drug company. If you're in that space of saying, let's go make our lives better, and you need to connect, you got to have a plan to do it. And that plan is part of entrepreneurship. Whether you're working for yourself or somebody else, once you have that plan, what you're going to be following is actually you're risking your energy and effort into that plan so it can lead your life into a better place.
Right.
And that's what I love about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and the great thing that you're going to learn about Adam is he doesn't trade time for money, because
That's right. Great value.
there's an inherent problem with trading time for money. You only have 168 hours a week and you run out of time. And then if you need more money, you start working a different job. And what happens in the wheel of life that you learn about is you tend to get stuck at work and you're not paying attention to your family and having your
Other
son and
areas.
daughter
Yeah.
walk the Great Wall of China. The other area is you're a publisher.
Yeah, so I put together a planning system on purpose. In fact, you know, on the website you can see these, but this is the planner, right? You'll be able to get yours over there. And to be upfront, it's $1 a day. Just that's what it costs. Okay, it's not expensive.
A lot less
But
than a coffee.
oh, absolutely. And the reasons are is that you get so much out of the plan that's put together. So I put together 3-day, 5-day, 7-day workshops to actually help people understand, here's how we can condense time. In other words, working together, condensing time, because I can't be with you every single second of every single day while you're making your life work. But inside the planning system, these are the publishings that I've done. And the reason we put these out there is so that it helps people organize their day. It breaks everything down. And specifically, it gives people a track to run on. It doesn't mean that you need to paint everything the same color, okay, or be like everybody else, because everybody's individual and different. But we're all running on this track of time. And all of us have this in our lives, you know, 86,400 seconds a day, 1,440 minutes. And what we do at that time allows us to get great things out of life. So I put together these planners and publish them, copyright them, put everything together so that you, the viewer, can actually have a daily mode of operation and run your life. And those are my publishings.
Right. And I can tell you that on my planner that Adam gave me years and years and years ago, I can tell you one of the things on my daily planner today was that Adam and I were going to do a podcast and a video, and the end result of that was we were going to help people all over the world. And guess what?
Correct.
What's in my daily planner is what we're doing right now. And that moves into your next area is you're a speaker, and I've seen you on stage.
I just came out of, thank you. I just came out of Hollywood. We just did an event up there at the Dolby Theater. That's, you know, where they do the Oscars. And it's a privilege, you know, walking around that building, knowing that some of the best and greatest people who are showcasing, who have showcased their lives on the big screen actually received an Oscar for their life's work and the dedication that they put into their craft. Now, I didn't get an Oscar for my presentation, but it was nice being in the same building and understanding, you know, I've shared this space with some of the greatest people and most successful people in the world receiving an Oscar. I was really giving a presentation about doing personal inviting. In other words, having people be interested enough to come and take a look and to listen, having an open mind to come and take a listen to what might help them change their life and achieve their dreams. I speak all over the world. In some cases, we have 8 or 9 different translators working with us as we present on stage. And the smallest groups we talk to is like maybe a couple hundred. And the largest groups I talked to last year was like 18, 19,000. And what we find out is that everybody, you know, the people that are coming and listening to the message, and I'm not the only presenter, I'm not the only keynote speaker, Gene. It's shared with a lot of other entrepreneurs who are very, very successful. But the message is the same. We have a methodology to help people become successful and have a chance at you really living the dream life that you'd like to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, front of the plane, back of the car. You're also an investor. An investor means you have to be making, I shouldn't really say making, because with you need to be earning a very good income to become an investor.
Yes. So, you know, in the States, you have to go, you know, there's an accredited investor process. But I love people with ideas, right? I love, you know, you never know who's going to come up with who knew Facebook was going to be so big? Who knew that Instagram would be big, or, you know, Zoom, or, you know, the podcast or what have you? Somebody actually created all this stuff, right? Now, I wasn't an investor in some of those. But I am an investor when somebody brings a great idea. We like real estate. Real estate is a pretty stable, you know, property is good. You can bank on that. But I love new ideas, new concepts, a better mousetrap. And I've been forward to have some incredible home runs. And I've also invested in stuff and had, you know, obviously losses. But that's the risk and reward, Gene, about life. And when you have a system that's actually, when you're running your life and you actually have multiple sources of income coming in from different places. So I'm not one of these believers that believes in just like, have one source of income, like just on a job.
Trading time for money.
Correct. You should have several things going. And like we talked about before, you said it here earlier, creating value. This is important. I've had some investments that have taken 3 or 4 years to pay off and have cost income, driving investing for 3 or 4 years before it pays off, because some of the projects can be capital intensive and to fund and make happen, and there's this hurdle to overcome, what have you. But each one of these things that we do is one step, 1 inch, 1 millimeter closer to actually creating value in the marketplace. And that's what I've learned to do in my life is I look for projects where people really believe that they can help create value in the marketplace. You might be watching this podcast or listening to the podcast over an iPhone or a Galaxy phone. But you take a look at the cost of that phone. Like, what does it actually cost to manufacture versus what it costs to buy in the store? And then you say, okay, well, there's a margin in between there. Well, the store had to make money. The manufacturers had to make money. And then you say, what's the value of my phone? And you're probably watching this maybe over your iPhone now, right, on our website. And then you take a look at what that phone does for you. You can check your email. You can obviously connect directly to social media. You can do calculations. There's a lot of things that phone does, including keep you connected to news, weather, updates, and what have you. So the value proposition on the $1,000 or a $500 phone that you're using on retail side of it far outweighs what you really paid for it. And this is what I talk about, the value proposition. Everything in life is going to cost some money, living, rent, paying a mortgage, paying off debts. It's all going to cost money. But at the end of the day, are you creating the value, or are you getting the value proposition out of those unique things? And that's what I love about where we are, what we're talking about.
Yeah, I remember Adam and I were on a flight. I have no idea where we were going, and I remember you started using the telephone in the airplane at 30,000 feet, and I said to Adam, I said, "Do you know how much that's going to cost?" And Adam looked at me and he said, "I can't afford to not be on the phone because I have to build my business even at 30,000 feet." So you were getting a return on investment. And the lesson I learned was I was being cheap. You can afford not to be on the phone. So that was the lesson right there, which gets us into the next area. And that is, you are an advisor. Who are you advising?
I currently consult with several $100 million companies, and I'm on a board, actually several boards of $1 billion company. And I help give people ideas. Sometimes a CEO or a president or, a high up director in a company doesn't necessarily have their ear to the ground. They've got so many things happening to manage the business. And so I help give advice in those areas on what I think would be important for the marketplace, how to create value in the marketplace. I think that's important. The other thing is I have a mentoring system, and also people who are watching 80/20/365 now, or the podcast, or listening on the website or watching the video. I help advise those people and saying, how are you breaking your life down into 2 high payoff activities, either 20% high payoff activities or 80% low payoff activities. And that's part of this podcast, part of what we're talking about on this web episode here, is helping people understand that I'm going to help advise you on what you should be doing every single day. Now, I'm not, it's not that the viewers are paying me a consulting fee, Gene, on, how to make this, that, and the other happen. But because we've developed the system and I've gotten so many results out of it, I know for a fact that if you practice the 80/20/365 principle on a daily basis, you too will not only become a mentor and an advisor to people, your life is going to change, and there's going to be more balance in your life. But ultimately, my advice to you is that what you're currently doing and how you're making your life run as a viewer watching probably isn't working for you. So let me help you, advise you. It's $1 a day, all right, on this system, and it'll plan and organize your life so that you can live life in balance and at the same time achieve more with the time that you're investing in your projects, ideas, and the things that are going to make your life happen, make your dream a reality.
Mm-hmm. Which leads us to the next area, and that's humanitarian.
Oh boy, that's some of the greatest things. I believe God loves a cheerful giver, but on the other side of that is you have to be able to give. You have to be in a position to give. We were part of a organization that was feeding families and children in various places around the United States. In one particular state, we had helped feed over 200,000. It wasn't just myself and Jessica and AJ. It was several people teamed up to do this, right? And what we figured out is that, yes, we helped those couple 100,000 people for one day. And the next day, because, we all get hungry, you have to eat several times a day. And some of these people don't get to do that. But the next day, those same people were hungry and starving again. So there had to be a different way, a different model, because that's not sustainable. Okay. It's just not going to work long term. So we looked around, we found an incredible organization out of Canada. It's called the We Foundation. And they do something a little differently. And this is why we like them so much. And we've not only adopted what they're doing, but we help fund and do things with them around the world now. And what they do is, or what we do is, we actually help entrepreneurial efforts in a particular region or country around the world. This is now international. In fact, this year, I'm taking the family to South Africa on a trip, and then we're going up to Kenya. And in Kenya, the We Foundation has helped build a school. And we build schools now around the world. And at those schools, we actually teach entrepreneurship. We teach how to barter, how to trade, how to grow and how to trade with others in the villages and what have you, so that that school can actually earn an income. And that way we have people being fed all the time, not just one time. It's an ongoing process. So we literally are creating better people around the world. And the foundation is absolutely amazing. You can go online and find them. You can also contact us directly and we'll tell you where to go to do that. But the great thing about how we make that work with that foundation is that 100% of any of the donations and things that go in it's completely transparent and sent through 100%. So we don't have any administration fees for what we do there, which is excellent. And what we're doing is we're not just making the world a better place. We're making one person better, and it's one person at a time. It's not an easy thing to do, Gene, but it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, you're a mentor, and before you explain what a mentor does and how that is part of your daily life, who are some of your mentors before you got into this system and started to become a teacher yourself? Because you know what, there's nothing like having a great mentor in your life.
I have so many great mentors in my life, but the first one that I have to really thank would really be my mom and dad, because, we all have these people in our lives. And, my dad had this incredible way of just never giving up and having a good, strong work ethic or finding out how the way things work. And my mom was always the encourager, right? You can do it, and get back up on the horse. And I think all of us have those. Some of us don't have, good moms and dads in our lives. But the point is, or good father figures or mother figures. But the point is, that's the beginning. Okay, so this is where all of us kind of get our first mentorship from. But as you get older, you can get smarter, and there's tons of self-help books. I have 2 libraries in my home. One of it's behind me here, and then the other one in the other room. And I went to a workshop one time with a gentleman named Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn's a mentor to tons and thousands, probably millions of people now.
Yeah, me too.
Around the world. And he said some things that really changed. That's like I said, Jim said something I'll never forget. And he said, find a way to serve the many, because service to many leads to greatness. And I was like, wow, what a concept that is. Okay. Let's say you have a product or a service and it's really great, but you have to find a way to serve not you, but the others. And by doing so, you're moving this product or service, whatever it is, you end up becoming great. So that was one of my first mentorships. I did a 3-day workshop with him, Jim Rohn's Weekend, absolutely amazing. I still have notes from that here in my training, and actually right here on my desk. I've actually got mentorship notes from Jim Rohn. Gene, it's truly amazing. But I've had other people, Dennis Waitley, Robert Allen, Les Brown, Susie Orsman, Robert Kiyosaki. The names go on and on and on. Mark Victor Hansen. In fact, Mark Victor Hansen is here in Southern California. And I remember going to his office and introduced myself as Adam Gilmer. And he said, is that who you really are? And I said, but I was, thrown back a little bit. I didn't understand what he said. He says, my name's Mark Victor Hansen. He says, why are you showing up only 66% of the time? I was like, wow. So therefore I said, well, now how I introduce myself is Adam Vincent Gilmer. And the reason I do this is because, once again, these are little lessons from great mentors in my life that helped me show up 100% of the time. And for those listening for the first time, I don't know what your middle name is, but when I show up, I use 100% of myself. And I like to think of myself giving 100% and being, congruent with who I am as an individual. And that's made a major difference. But those are my early mentors, and I still listen to some of the great thinkers on tape. Like the other day, I was watching a video on YouTube by The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and some other people just talking about work ethic and how you have to show up. And so it's not just those were my mentors. And then, Robert Allen was great. He wrote a book called Nothing Down on real estate, and that was really good. And then along the way, Dennis Waitley was amazing. Actually, I was just with not just Dennis, but John Maxwell as well, talking about what people have to do every day. And John gave an amazing presentation about the responsibility that you have to your success. And if you really think about that, is you're responsible for your success as a listener listening in. I'm not responsible for your success because I can't control your daily actions. You're in control of those, and you're in control of what you do with your time. And John Maxwell talks specifically to this point about, doing certain things with your time make the biggest difference in your life. And obviously this is what's changed my life.
Yeah. So as a mentor yourself now, how do you mentor people? And I mean, and the obvious example is what we're doing right now. I mean, well, you know what? You don't have to pay to download this podcast.
No.
You don't have to come to the website and watch this. If you're smart, you'll get the Daily Planner because it's a tool that will really put you in Adam's seat down the road. But as a mentor, what do you do? And how rewarding is that for you?
It's great when you go and people say, listen, thank you so much. You've helped change my life. But really, the helping changing somebody's life really comes into taking personal responsibility for your own first. Okay. When you jump on an airplane and you're taking off, part of the roll call of the airplane is if there's an emergency, what's going to happen is that and oxygen's lost in the cabin. And I've never had this happen, but oxygen falls down, masks fall down. And they always say, put one on yourself first before you take care of somebody else.
Exactly.
Okay? And this is what we're talking about. So you have to have personal responsibility. There's other people books that I've written. In fact, I've got this one here, which is called the 80-20 Principle by Richard Koch. And he talks about how you can apply it. Now it's difficult, but because you have to figure out what the 20s are. And that's what my system does. My system actually says, which tasks are the most important for you to do every single day. And those are the ones you should be focused on. But getting back to being a mentor, because all of us have the exact same time every day, 1,440 minutes, and each second ticks away irretrievably. If there was a way where you could invest that time into the most highest paying off activities that you can do that will lead you to 80% gains and 80% return on investment in your life, why wouldn't you want to consider that as a way to run your life? Now, some people say, well, that's selfish or this, that, and the other, or what have you. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about selfish for a second. The starving people I was talking about were very, very grateful that we were able to do what we were able to do. And that is help them eat, right? So now let's transfer that into actual time for a second. I know you want to be successful. I know people watching want to be successful in life, but are you doing that? You're going to live the days anyway. Your heart's going to tick through today, tomorrow, and so on and so forth. You're going to live. So are you doing what's necessary to actually have these results come into your life? And then the other side of it is are you responsible enough to keep it? Because Gene, there's lots of different people that on the surface look like great mentors, okay? And then what we find out afterwards, something gets exposed or what have you, and we find out that it was really just a facade, a shell. They weren't really actually doing it, living the example. And I think that's what's really important about being a mentor is that, and I'm not perfect and I make great mistakes, but, I lead by example. And I also am humble enough when I make an error in judgment, as Jim Rohn would say, you fall on the sword. You got to have humility in your life as well and say, hey, man, that was my bad. And what happens is that this makes you a human being. This makes you like a person that's contributing to society versus just taking from society.
Right. Well, one of the things that I love about the Daily Planner, and this is why I encourage people to go to the site and purchase a Daily Planner, then follow along these podcasts, is you travel, like I said earlier in this particular broadcast, you're off to Moscow tomorrow. I travel a lot in my business. Now, if you picked up the phone and you said, Gene, come on over to my place, and I said, okay, Adam, and if I didn't know where you were, I could jump in my car and I could literally be driving for the rest of my life and I would never find you. But if you gave me directions, I would put them in my phone, I would get in my car, and those directions would guide me right to your home. So
Correct.
what I'm trying to emphasize here is you need direction in your life, and the Daily Planner is the roadmap. So get your Daily Planner, follow these videos and podcasts, and we'll give you direction in your life. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. As we go through this and other things for the next 52 weeks, for the next year, in 1 year from now, how do you think regular viewers and regular listeners to this podcast will change in 1 year?
Wow. Well, I'd like to say, up front that there's no guarantees in life, right? Because,
of course,
that's
you got to do the work.
Yeah, you got to do the work. But like, just to give everybody an idea, okay, here's my plan for the year, right? And I plan everything out. I have a specific commitment statement that I'm committed to. I plan everything out. I put everything in writing, and I plan the days out. Now, my trip to Moscow, planned. My trip to Chile, planned. My trip to other parts of Latin America, Peru, Argentina, planned. My trips to Europe, planned. When I board the plane, and last year I did 467,000 miles around the globe. Okay, I think that was enough to do maybe 120 times around the world or something. We've created millionaires inside our sales and marketing teams and organizations. We now have 19 people that have hit the rank of millionaire, okay, or above, which is amazing. And we've done workshops and workshops and workshops and workshops and workshops. So you starting the plan, you watching, the viewer watching, starting the planner from today, before today, you didn't have a plan. You weren't doing this plan. So whose plan were you following? Wouldn't you like to have a chance to actually, let me follow a plan that'll break your life down, your time down, and say, these are the things I should focus on. Now, all of us know what we should be focusing on, but Gene, here's what happens. Just like somebody watching this, there's a fear. Okay, and it's usually the fear of the unknown. People get afraid of like things that they don't know or they haven't done before, or maybe they're afraid of rejection or some of these things that show up. And there's lots of different fears. My encouragement to you is let's face those things first. Let's face your fears first. Make it the first thing we handle during the day, whether it's making that sales call, talking to the boss, getting a raise, whatever it is, whatever the fears happen to be. Inviting somebody that's bigger than you, smarter than you, has more money than you, getting in front of that person. Let's handle these things first, because here's what happens. I've been rejected many times. I've lost money in incredible investments. Okay, that didn't stop me, Gene. What stopped me, if I allowed those things to stop me, I wouldn't be doing this podcast and video with you, and you wouldn't be listening. People wouldn't be listening to me. I don't stop. And that's the other commitment, is if you make this a habit of doing this every single day, just like breathing, just like your heart's beating, just like the neurons are firing in your mind, because this is what you want. You want your life to be better. In a year's time from now, you're going to be so much closer to living your dream and having your goals happen. I don't just put a person on an annual goal, on an annual plan, Gene. I put people on a 60-month plan. That's 5 years. 5 years to living or having the lifestyle or dream life that you want. And if you really look at it, is not a lot to not a lot to pay to do some habits every single day that become habitudes, new habits. And by the way, the only thing that replaces an old habit is a new habit that's rewarding. okay, then the old habit doesn't matter anymore. But it's like this, Gene. The guarantee is this. If you started at the gym on January 1st, 2020, and you did your first workout and you ate right perfectly for just the first day, you're not going to notice that much difference on day 2. Okay. And you're not going to notice that much difference on day 5 or day 20. But by day 30, you're like, well, hang on, I've got some new things going on. I'm feeling better. Maybe you have more energy. Maybe you're not smoking anymore. Maybe you're not drinking alcohol, whatever the case is. You've made some changes. But that's the first 30 days. Then you do the second 30 days, you notice significant changes, mindset, thinking, clarity, new habits are coming into play. But by the 90th day, that's 3 months of actually working towards your goals for the year. And then from there, a 60-month plan, right? So, 60 months planned is 5 years, okay? You notice these great little things starting to take place, and you're like, and here's the other thing. The feedback doesn't come from the results that you're getting from the planner. The feedback comes from the people that you're around start to notice different things about you. And they'll say things like, wow, what are you doing that's so different? And your thinking's different, your attitude's different, your mindset's different. These are all important things to helping you get your goals and dreams. And then your actions on what you're doing every day are different. But just like if you go down and you ask a trainer at the gym, and I know the reason I bring up gyms and training and diet, a lot of people have this at the beginning of the year and then they fall off, right? But if you stick with it, the results that not only you will notice, people will start to notice them first. You'll start to feel a certain way, feel better. And then by doing this every single day, a new track is laid in front of you where it's like a success track. There's all these other tracks that are leading into the horizon, and you never know where they're going to end. At least on this system, you have a chance of leading yourself into the sunset that you really, really want to be, that dream life. And
Right.
That's the promise I can make to people.
Yeah. And it's very interesting. On the other side of that coin, I remember you and I driving up a highway in California on a long, long drive one day, and you and I were talking about setting goals and achieving goals. And we had a good laugh about the fact that if you don't have a goal, if you have no goal whatsoever, you're going to achieve that too. It's the funny thing, right?
Right. I was watching a show on YouTube, and it was about, I know this is a controversial subject, but it was talking about let's find the finding of other life out there, right, in the planets. And if we didn't, so the chances are like, nothing traditional has been found. It's like, hey man, here's this great new civilization, society, 10 million light years away, or whatever the numbers are. But if we didn't look, we'd be at zero.
Exactly.
And that's your point that you're making. And what I'm saying is that if you're going to live this life anyway, let's have a chance of hitting pay dirt and a chance of actually making it. And that's what we're going to be talking about here over our system, Gene.
Okay, great. We're going to be talking about goals. We're going to be talking about your purpose. Your purpose is coming up in lesson number 3. And in our next episode, it won't be as long as this one, but we really wanted to give you an intro to Adam and to the system and what you can expect over the next year. But coming up in our next episode, we're going to talk about the Wheel of Life, which is another reason why you need the daily planner. And you know what? I know what this is all about. There's going to be that little voice inside of your head is going to say, well, do I really need it? And, it's $1 a day. Trust me, it'll be life-changing. So go to the website. It's really simple, 80-20-365. Order your planner so you can follow along. Listen, if you don't want to, it's up to you. But if you want to maximize the program, it's just like Adam said, if you don't have a goal, you're going to reach that one as well. So coming up next, we'll be talking about the Wheel of Life. We'll be using the daily planner. Then we'll get into goals and we'll get into your purpose. And it's really going to be an exciting adventure. Now, you know what? It's not going to change you. You're going to grow. And there's a big difference between changing and growing. And you are going to grow with this program with Adam. Well, Adam, everybody knows who you are now. That's great.
Well, that's That's great. And, love to hear your feedback. Send us messages, whatever the case is. I like to see what people are getting from these things. It's fantastic. Thanks, Gene.
Okay. And tell your friends they can watch the video at 802365.com. That's where you can order your daily planner, or you can download the podcast and share this. The podcasts are free. You can go to Spotify or Apple iTunes to get your free download. And if you want, you can binge listen or binge watch, or you can do this once a week or twice a month. You can do it at your own pace. But you know what? You have to start to get on the journey, and it's going to be an exciting one. Adam, thanks so much for this. We'll be talking to you on the next episode when we deal with the wheel of life. It's going to be fun. So for Adam Vincent Gilmer, this is Gene King Valaitis. You didn't know that was my middle name, did you?
Man, it sounds fantastic. Just think about how that comes across. Wow.
And that's my middle name. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us here on Life Well Planned, featuring the 80-20-365 system with Adam Vincent Gilmer. I'm Gene Valaitis. I'm Gene King Valaitis. Glad you joined us today. We'll see you next time.